everyone. Welcome to this episode of Retention Zone, the video podcast focused on streaming monetization, where I'm happy to speak with Kübra Güven. And we are going deep into some specifics of billing payments for subscription systems, because she's an expert in that. Welcome, Kübra.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlo. This is Kübra from Barcelona.
So I know you spent some years working in the media industry, and I think you've been able to be in different places, different perspectives. So tell me about it. I think it's a good story to tell.
Yeah, so I started in 2011 in Türk Telekom. In there, actually, the first that we started was IPTV. And then it was the beginning of the OTT world. So we were exploring and seeing what's going on in the industry. And then we built each of this, our application in different smart TVs. And that was like so challenging from that time. Each TV operating system had required different kind of integration. So that was the beginning of the challenges that we said that, oh my God, this is a lot of like so many varieties, and how we're gonna manage all of them at the same time. So I worked in Türk Telekom for about 4 years, and then I moved to Barcelona to work at Rakuten. So in Rakuten, I spent approximately 7 years focusing on the OTT. We were calling living room products. So including game consoles and TVs and set-top boxes. And there I purely focused on this OTT industry, including mobile. So that I can say I learned and I gained a lot of information in there, and I saw clearly how OTT industry evolved in there. And I then moved to a company called Gelato. It's a bit different industry, but I wanted to learn a lot about the mobile because that was also evolving at the same time. Mobile stores, in-app stores, how it evolved in the e-commerce. So I worked there about 2 years, and then I started at Cleeng approximately a year ago as a product marketing manager in the core platform. So that's about me.
Okay, so it's a pretty interesting story. Clearly, you call it living room. When I was doing a lot of OTT and I spent a lot of time analyzing, all the statistics from the different sources, I always called it big screen, because very often when you go in the analytics tool, you have, I don't know, set-top boxes. They split big screen in 2 or 3 categories, right? But in the end, it's a big screen experience. And depending on what you want to measure, understanding if people are using your product on a device or on a big screen, it makes a big difference in terms of user experience. If you're technically analyzing, maybe you need to know, okay, which fragment of the market in mobile are you using? And I've also had a similar experience when things were fragmented. No, we started, I think, with browser and a bit operating system, but browser, the website had to work on 3 or 4 browsers, and then mobile, 2 operating systems. I think big screen TV, it's so much more fragmented. So you started from the most difficult challenge, I would say.
Yeah, it was a purely new learning for everyone. So we were exploring and then working on it at the same time. When you said about living room and big screen, so big screen evolved to be a multi-screen when mobiles became trendy. So we started to call multi-screen solutions, because that solution that you have on the big screen should have been applied to mobile screens and tablets as well, because it has been announced as TV everywhere. So that like evolution of how big screen, how smart TV worked, and then how that became very famous in mobiles as well. It was like part of the evolution, I would say. And then the more device appears, the more billing system appears, and even different programming language each of this platform introduced. And it became more and more difficult for everyone, for the providers, let's say, to manage all these different platforms from one channel.
So exactly. So let's focus on the billing aspect and the monetization aspect of this fragmentation.
So for mobile itself, that even starting from Apple and Google, they purely have a different operating system and different billing system. And even unifying the application user journey is difficult. And then imagine you're adding a different kind of devices like big screens you mentioned, that Samsung, LG, and then we have set-top boxes like Roku, Amazon Fire. All of them, they have a different journey and different billing system. And unifying them is very challenging because each of them has a different kind of system, even different programming language that I said. And it became more and more difficult for the content providers to see, like developing is one problem, but then when you mention about the monetization, tracking how these platforms are performing is another bigger problem, because each of them has their own analytics, and it's very challenging to check the data from Apple and then from Roku, because they provide different dashboards, so you cannot really see how you're performing across the platforms. So that's why actually then aggregation started, aggregation of the contents, because not only billing system, but let's say I'm paying Netflix and then I'm paying Hulu, and I see different content in each of them because they have originals. So I have to pay each system, each platform a different subscription, and it becomes big, and the pricing is getting higher, and I have to put different credit card, different payment method on each of these platforms separately. So where I'm coming in here, when this aggregation become a thing, then majority of the companies decided to do their own TV OS, and more TV companies are appearing, more new billing system appearing. For example, Hisense have now, it used to be only Android, and now they have an operating system called Vida, and they have their own billing system as well. So it's a new platform, new channel. People are buying this TV, and in order to make it easier for them, that content provider needs to put their application on that platform and support this payment system for them. And I think I had this data that I was checking, like more than 38% now, apart from this TV OS that we know, like Samsung, LG, Amazon, Roku, etc. There are 38% new systems are appearing, and this is becoming more and more and more
Wow.
trend. And imagine, like, you have 15 different billing system, 15 different platform that you have to manage, and you have to see how that appears, how your user journey is, and how your subscription revenue is evolving in there. So that's the challenge overall, I would say, that variety is increasing, and that's why there needs to be an aggregation. As how we do for the content, the same aggregation has to happen in the billing systems, that there should be one channel to manage all of these different platforms.
Because one of the, so I think everybody as the system for OTT increased, the number of system increased, the first worry of everybody was, both on the vendor side and on the client platform side, was, oh, we need a different version of our app for these 14 different cases, which was like on one end, video was the issue at the beginning. Oh, we need to have video working, etc. Then you say, oh, we need all these different platform version of the app. But then, I mean, as you said, I think it's a second thought, but the moment you start to have the apps, you say, oh, how do I manage all this money possibly coming to me in different sources? How do I reconcile everything? So I think billing is as a complexity as having the app, I think. Correct.
Exactly. So managing that alone is challenging, and then seeing the data, not only like managing the payment system, but also managing how it's evolving, seeing the data is very, very challenging. And this is why we said, okay, what we can do and how we can centralize this. That's why we created a framework at Cleeng, and that framework helps us to aggregate and create one solution for all these platforms. and make it easier also, because as I said, the systems are evolving every day. New tvOS companies appearing with the different requirements. So we made it very robust that we can add up any new platform appearing in the industry. So not only like what we provided solution with the existing ones, but also made it very flexible to be able to support anything new coming up. And with that, with one single solution that we provide unique integration, as well as a clear data point, so one source of truth data point for all these platforms. That makes it easier to plan the retention and all the customer behavior for the end users, for the clients, sorry.
But as I was involved, I mean, luckily enough, not operational, but external, with some different big OTTs that I was working with, you realize that subscription, especially when you have like season subscription, or you pay once a year, it seems like, oh, there's a transaction. As a user, I go there, I hope I remember if I want to cancel or not when it's renewal time. But it seems like, honestly, it's a lot more complex than that. So if you're on the back end, there could be credit cards that expire. So there is a lot of interaction with the billing system. You may need to have chargebacks, or so there's a lot of things happening in the background. And if you and it's already complex. I saw that if you have to do it with different systems. So if you're very unlucky and you have a problem during a streaming live sport, which happens, it happens also. It happened at the Oscar with Hulu, by the way, last week. And you need to give some, $2 back to people, or €2. It's already complex. But if you have to implement it on 15 different systems, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, definitely.
Manually, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, each system is also coming with their limitation and different regulations. So it's not only about the easy transaction, but also for the ones who are doing this integration, that they have to be mindful about each of the regulation of Apple, let's say, or Google or Roku. They have different kind of systems, different kind of capabilities. So unifying that is also another challenge. But yeah, with that unified solution, that we also make sure that it's up to date. It's providing all the information, all the regulation, that we track that for the clients, basically, because we are managing this integration directly with each of this platform.
So in the end, the benefit is being able to have one interface that hides, if you want, all the complexity that is happening inside between your subscription, your platform as a content provider, and everything that happens behind the scene, basically.
Exactly. So we have one single solution covering all of those platforms. And the thing is, when I started, it was only Turkey. So Türk Telekom was only in Turkey, and then when I started for Rakuten, then it expanded globally, and each of the time that when we expanded to the new country, we saw a different kind of challenge, because these payment methods that we think about, you add the credit card and that's it, and then you pay. But there are different kind of payment options as well. So it's not only like the billing system, but apart from the credit card, you have PayPal, you have Klarna, you have all the different unique options per country. And you need to block some of the payment method in some countries. So managing that is also challenging. Like I said, the regulations and rules and everything that is coming up with each platform and each country. So unifying this, in one hand, is simplifying 70% of their integration, let's say, much easier than integrating integrating it individually.
And one thing that I'm pretty familiar, but yeah, I mean, I understand the complexity and the way to solve it. I was struggling to say, okay, this is a great episode because we went hands-on on some real problems with real solutions. What do you? I normally I'm good at creating names for products or initiatives. In this case, what is the name? How would you call this? What we talked about? I don't know.
We also kind of struggled when we were thinking about that, what we can do, because this is an aggregation at the end, right? That you aggregate different kind of billing systems and provide a unified solution. But because there are differentiators in each platform, we said that it can be a channel, each of these channels.
Yeah.
And we say that we are gonna name it like a multi-channel billing solution. So
okay.
yeah, that's why it's called like a multi-channel billing, because that means that you have one solution for multi-channel options.
Yeah. Good solution for the good name solution. Va bene. So thank you, Kübra. I think it was one of the most hands-on episode of Rotation Zone. We normally blah 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 blah, but what I like is when people work on solutions that have a background in what they did before. So I think you're clearly passionate about this, not because it's a job, but because you went through, like I did in other cases, through the struggle yourself, and you see a reason, and that's normally what resonates with clients in theory, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And me struggling back in Rakuten times, seeing all these issues that we were facing, and now I love that how technology also evolved, that we can provide such a solution to simplify and focus actually a user experience, right? So that will make it easier for our clients, that they can focus on their user experience, and we will work on the rest to unify the solution for them.
Va bene, thank you, and enjoy Barcelona. It's sunny in Torino, but I can imagine Barcelona is also a good place to be at this time of the year.
Totally. Thank you so much.
Grazie, ciao.